So we're talking about stem and leaf plots. It's just another type of graph that we use to display data and organize our numbers in our data set. It says that this graph organizes data by place value. So that's the most important thing about stem and leaf that you need to know. It's separating your place value, so like your tens place from your ones place. If you look right here at this example, you see they have a line that's dividing your tens from your ones place. And instead of calling it the tens place, they call that your stem section. And then instead of your ones place, they call that's where all your leaves go. If you look down here, this is the example they give you, and it says that this is the number of rebounds earned by player number 22 in each game last season. So they gave you a set of numbers here, but that's just a random set. They're not in order. There's nothing special about it. So they decided to take these numbers and organize them and place them in the stem and leaf plot. So let's look right here. I see I have numbers in the 60s, the 90s, 80s, and the 70s, and it looks like there's a 50s and more 90s, 80s, and 60s. So instead of rewriting this 6 over and over again for the 60s, they're making a 6 column or a row or a section right here. So they're breaking them up into place value. Stem and leaf plots, they're always, since it's organized, they're always placed in order. So they started with their biggest numbers down to the lowest, or you could start with your lowest to highest. Greatest to least or least to greatest, but it needs to be in order. So they started, their highest numbers were in the 90s, so they started their first stem with a 9 for the 90s. So they looked at all of their data sets and they said, okay, where are all my 90s at? Well, there was a 90 and 94, and that was all of the 90s. And so instead of rewriting this 9 over again, they just wrote the 9 one time, and then to the ones place, they added a 0 for 90, and then a 4 for 94. And then they went in order, going down. What comes after the 90s? Well, 80s. And they went down into their data set, and it looks like there's an 83, 84, 83, 87, 85. And instead of rewriting all those 8s in the tens place, they just wrote the 8 once, and then look, all these one places there in order. 3, 4, 5, 7, 9. So 83, 84, 85, 87, 89. So it helps you not repeat your tens place. And then it goes to the 70s, 60s, and 50s. So they're all in order. Just another way to organize data. So let's look at this other example down here. These are some test grades, and they did not write them in a set. They went ahead and put them in a stem and leaf plot. And notice it is in order, but this time they did the lowest grades to the highest grades. So they started with the 70s, went up to the 80s, and then they went up to the 90s. So looking at this, if I want to know, okay, well, how many test grades are we looking at right here? Is it 1 person, 3 people, or are there 10 people? Test grades that we're looking at right here. If you just count, this is our stem section, if you want to write that. And then here are that's the leaf section. They're divided, tens place and then ones place. If you want to know how many people there are or how many numbers there are, if you just count your leaves, that'll tell you. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 19 leaves, so that means there's 19 different numbers. There's 19 different test grades we're looking at right here. So if I want to rewrite these numbers in just in order, then I can do that if you like looking at them that way, better than looking at them in the stem and leaf plot. So let's just do that real quick. So let's do it in order, because when we want to find mean, median, mode, and range, we always put our numbers in order first, and sometimes it's easier to see in a list, or you can use them in a stem and leaf plot. So this is how this one, 71, we had a 72, 76, 78, that was all the 1, 2, 3, 4 70s, yes. So now let's move on to the 80s. We have an 83, 85, 86, another 86, 87, 89. I probably should be crossing these out so I don't accidentally skip or miss one. Now let's move on to the 90s. We have a 92, 94, 94, 96, and 97, 98, 98, another 98, and then a 99. So if you like looking at it a list, make it a list. But if you can go ahead and read it from the stem and leaf plot, then just leave them. So we know what the mean means, right? Remember, we add them all up, we find the average, and then divide by how many. Well, remember earlier we said if you just count the leaves, was there 19? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 19 leaves, so there's 19 different grades. So when we add them all up, and then when we divide by 19, I'm going to go ahead and save us some time and tell you the average score, or the average grade, was about 88.3. So that makes sense, because I have a lot of numbers that are rounding up to like the 88 mark. Let's do the mode. Now, since they're in order, remember mode is the one we see most often. So I don't see any 70s repeating. When I'm looking in the 80s, I see 2 6s, so that means we have 2 86s. I see 2 4s beside each other, so that tells me there's 2 94s. But then this group of 8 pops out at me, and it looks like there's 3 of those. So the number we see the most are all those 8s in a row, and remember that 9 goes with them. So 98 is our mode. Median is the most tricky when you're looking at a stem and leaf plot. So if you want to write out your list and then remember start from your ends and work your way towards the middle, you could do that. But if you have a bunch of numbers in your stem and leaf plot, who wants to rewrite them? Now remember, when you're working your way towards the middle, you start with the biggest and smallest, and then the next biggest and the next smallest and the next biggest and the next smallest. So make sure when you're crossing them out, you're being very careful, because we go mark out 71 is the smallest, 99 is the biggest, 72 is the smallest, 98 is the next biggest. Now watch, this is where it's going to get tricky. 76 is the next smallest, 98 is the next biggest, 78 working our way up, 98 working our way down. Now what comes after 78? 83 would come next, then 97. Working our way up, 85, working our way down, 96, working our way up, 86, working our way down, 94, working our way up, 86, working our way down, 94, working our way up, 87, working our way down, 92. What's left right here in the middle? That 9 goes with the 8, so 89. So be careful when you're marking off for the median. And we know range is easy. You're subtracting your smallest from your biggest. Well, since it's already in order, what was our biggest number? 99. And our lowest number was 71. And when we subtract, we should get the range is 28. So stem and leaf plot is just another way to organize data. You're separating the 10s and the 1s. It's all about place value. And remember that whenever you make a stem and leaf plot, you always want to start from smallest to largest, like in the test grade example, or you can start with your largest numbers and then work your way down. Either way, it does need to be in order because that helps you be organized.